Hello guys, this is Reza. Welcome to the fifth lesson. In this one, we focus on the rest of the tools inside the new PCG mode and how they can speed up your workflow. Instead of only relying on the graph, we will use tools like painting, placing assets directly in the scene, and using volumes to control where things appear. This makes the workflow much more practical and much closer to how environments are actually built in the real projects. If you want PCG to feel faster and easier to control, this lesson is going to be very useful. So let's get started. Okay, let's pick up where we left off in our previous tutorial and finish the brand new PCG mode. So if I go in there in the previous session, we already covered these two. Let's talk about paint and volume. I'm going to go to paint first. So the paint category is a brush-based placement. Paint tools work like a brush. Instead of drawing a path, something that we did with the spline, we are going to paint areas on the ground. It's great for trees, grass, rocks, debris, environment dressing. Think of it as procedural foliage painting with few differences with the actual foliage painting in Unreal Engine. If I select paint, the first tool that we have is a place tool. That's the simplest tool in this category. And you click anywhere on the ground and you place a PCG point. Remember, this tool is not designed for you to drag the cursor to scatter things around. We have another tool for it. As the name suggests, it is just for placing an object in our scene. I personally use it to place big objects, one or two single objects in my PCG. For example, if I go into static mesh and add an element and just type in wooden barn village, by the way, that's the model. It's free from flawless normals, wooden bar village, abandoned house ruins. So if I were to place this in my level, I would get a single point, one barn. Obviously, you can mix and match. You can add more than one array and it's going to place two. And you have the weight. I just need to make sure that if I go into the global transform, I perhaps put 1.5, 1.5, 1.5. You can go ahead and add random transform, but because you have one or two objects, you don't see the impact really. Then you get a brush. Because you're doing a single point, having that brush is not really much of a deal breaker. So I can scroll down, go to my brush size just to see what I'm working with. I can increase it all the way to 1, or I can set it to 0.1. And believe it or not, you're still going to get the same model. So I'm going to set it to 1. The only reason I increase the brush size is to fix the orientation, which if your brush mode is set to sphere, you kind of can't see. So I'm going to switch the brush mode from sphere to box. And now if I just scroll the middle mouse, you can see I'm orienting the X axis. If you've got a simple grid, like a blank level, you should be able to see the red arrow, perhaps around here it's more visible. If I rotate it, you can see the red axis is also spinning. And that is going to say which side is the front side. Let's say I'm going to go in here and I'm going to place the barn somewhere around here. If you're unhappy with the result, you can hold down Shift and delete it, rotate, and try again. The rest is pretty much the same. So that is the simplest tool, and you can see we have PCG Place Actor is now on our level, and we successfully added one element into our scene. So this is very straightforward. Do not confuse it with painting as in dragging and basically scattering the points on the ground. That is the work of the next tool. Scatter tool is like a spray paint tool. You drag the mouse and PCG scatters points randomly inside the brush area. What does this tell us? Unlike the place tool, the brush size makes a huge difference. So I'm going to increase the brush size. I will make sure that the brush mode is set to sphere because, well, the orientation may not be as important, although always double check. And I'm going to go into static mesh and just add a couple static mesh arrays for our elements. Let's pick some of our grasses here. So variant A, perhaps, variant H, and a tiny one, variant D. So I'm going to type in UDD to bring the grass, variant A, and variant H, and just going to pick something random, really, doesn't matter. Let's go with D. I'm going to give variant H higher probability. Now we know that we want to scatter them, but still we want to have it as random. Let's give it some randomness. So I am going to go in here, and for rotation, I'm going to rotate 360 degrees. And for randomness, I'm going to go from 2 to maybe 3, going with the ballpark of what we have for our grass in here. Now we are ready to go. What I can do is just to test, because I don't know if the distance or spacing between my elements are correctly set. You can just go in there and add a little bit of randomness here and there. You don't need to go accept and click. You can just do that. Perhaps I'm going to just click view here and there and then go OK. Now if you ever want to edit it, you can go into the component. I'm going to give myself a little bit of room so you guys can see better. I'm going to select this one. I'm going to go into its component. We've got 3 variants and the component. And you can change the seed if you want, like for example, 50 or 10 or 12 or 15. That gives it a little bit of randomness here. You can swap your static meshes if you want, tweak with the global transform or random if you want, and you've got other tools at your disposal, things that you already have upon creation. So that's a big difference between scatter tool and place tool. Now, with your PCG Place Actor tool, we do not want to select any tool. So I'm going to click away and click again. And let's talk about Layered Place tool. And we have now a brand new PCG Layered Place tool. This is very similar to these two. The only difference is this tool lets you to place multiple layers of PCG elements together. For example, when you click once, you may generate rocks. When you click again, you may generate trees. And the way it works is based on these 2 layers. So you can see we have 2 spawning. So for the first one, I can go in there and add an array. And let's see what we have just to add a little bit of randomness. I can actually go with old stump. So let's go with old stump for the first one. You can spawn actor or attach a class to it. Of course, we've got global transform as well. So if you want to change the global transform for the position, rotation, and scale, you sure can. For layer 2, we have pretty much the same thing. For layer 2, I might select this rock here, WGO. So WGO, and I'm ready to paint. Well, I suspect that the stump is going to be small rather. So what I can do is to go to random transform, enable that. For my first layer, it's really important to see what layer you're making those changes. Rotation 0 to 360 and scale 1 to 2. I'm not going to add too many of these. And for the rock, it's definitely going to be big because that's something that we actually used in our PCG graph. So I am going to change it from 0.3 to maybe 0.7 and bring it down ever so slightly, maybe 0.5 to -1. I'm going to push that as well, -0.5 to -1. Well, the question is now I'm ready to paint, but on what layer? One thing that I need to explain, if I kind of collapse all of this, it becomes a lot easier to see what I'm talking about, is instead of layer 1 and 2, we have a default layer 0. This data instance tells me what layer you're painting on and what layer you're erasing. Layer 1 is our stump, layer 2 is our rock, and layer 0 is empty. And by default, it's set to layer 0. So if for whatever reason you start painting on layer 0, you get nothing. So I'm going to switch to layer 1, and I'm going to add a stump here, maybe here, and one right in front of the camera here. And when I'm ready to go, I'm going to go into 2 to add stones, maybe one here, and one here, so on and so forth. So it's pretty straightforward. You can change the distance as well. There is a debug section that allows you to have a look at the bounds. So show painted bounds. It shows the entire bound for each layer. And we have bounds for each object. This is very similar to bounds modifier. And you can see the bounds are massive for the rock. Now just keep that in mind, that when you draw or paint, you really need to be careful about the bounds. And you can find this in specify radius, and this is the bound that you're working with. And you can actually go ahead and change it. Well, let's say I'm happy. I'm going to select that. And if I scroll down, you can see we have PCG component to work with. I've got my layers with all the specifications. Debug is enabled. Spawn, I've got my descriptor, which is the stump. If you ever want to change it, you know what to do. And all the settings right in front of you. Now, to recap, if I were to talk about these three, it would be place tool, which is our simplest tool. It's like a manual procedural placement. Then we have the layer tool, and that is going to spawn multiple procedural systems at once. And then we have our scatter tool, and scatter tool is more like a spray can for our procedural objects. Okay, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about volume. Now, the last tool is called volume. This is actually pretty useful because the volume tool defines a 3D area where PCG should operate. Think of it like a procedural container. You create a box. Inside the volume, PCG can scatter trees, rocks, grass. Outside the volume, nothing happens. So if I go and enable that, I'm going to give myself a little bit of room. All you need to do is to think about where you want to place your PCG system. Why is it important? Because the volume controls where PCG is allowed to generate things, which is great if you want to have, let's say, a forest region or city block or cave system or battlefield area. You can define that area. And it's kind of difficult to have that without this tool. You got to use Blueprint and some custom hacks to be able to make it happen. Let's say if I zoom back ever so slightly, you can see I've got kind of not much in there. And let's say I want to have an extension to my grass in here. Well, with volume scatter tool, you can. I suspect that we are going to have more sub tools in the near future, but right now what we have is just one scatter tool under volume. So I'm going to go and add again few variants in here. Let's say variant H for my grass, and variant D, and let's add another more, UDD A. And I'm going to give this one a higher probability. Something like that. You've got all the usual suspects: global transform, random transform, which you perhaps want to have because you are going to select a bunch of these guys within the volume. So let's say 2 to 3, and that really should do it. You have projection, so you can sort of snap that on the surface and align that to the surface. And this projection is also available in Paint and Spline as well. We talked about this. We have debug and we have scatter. You can label these guys as well, something that I kind of didn't explain because it's self-explanatory, but what you get here is what is going to be placed here under this name, which you can change. Okay, with that out of the way, and because I snapped them on the ground, I can now drag a volume, and I'm going to move up. Once they appear, I'm going to click. So the volume and the size of the volume is not going to change. You may say, Rosa, can we have more? Yes, of course you can. You can have Paint square meter enabled. And if I change that now, let's say 0.05, I'm going to get fewer points. If I increase that, I'm going to get more points. While I have this, I can go ahead and readjust this ever so slightly, and perhaps increase that to something like 30. And that allows me to just fix a patch, have a region of PCG somewhere that I need it, and it's kind of difficult to get that with normal PCG. Once you go accept and click away, you have this area that you can just play around with now. And if I select this again, you can see I can go into brush component. You've got control over individual objects as well. So that is going to basically do the trick for the new PCG mode in the latest version of Unreal Engine. Now, up to this point, all we're doing, we're scattering static meshes, vegetation on our landscape. So this landscape is the hero. But have you ever thought about a scenario where you want to apply a PCG to a static mesh? Let's say you have a piece of rock and you want to use the power of PCG to your advantage and scatter, let's say, moss on top of it. Now, we're not dealing with a landscape anymore. As a matter of fact, if I disable this, the whole system is going to crumble down. What's going to happen if we have another static mesh as our landscape and we want to use PCG on top of that? Well, that is going to take these lessons that we've learned so far to a brand new level, and that's something that I'm going to talk about in the next tutorial. Thank you so much for being so wonderful, and thank you for your support, and hope to see you all in the next video.